All right, what's going on YouTube? What's up, Raider Nation? I'm Bubba the Raider coming at you today. I've been trying to make this video like 1,000 times, and it has not been working out. So this should be better. What is going on? It's the day before the draft. Tomorrow is the first round of the 2026 NFL Draft. If you couldn't tell from my background, I've got a new house that I'm living in, a new setup a little bit, although I am recording this on my phone because my webcam, it makes my lips look really pink for some reason, and it was a little distracting when I was trying to do this. I don't know what that's all about. I'll have to figure that out. All right. So this video is going to be just a quick little recap. I haven't made a video in a while, and I'd say the biggest reason is the Raiders have given me nothing good to talk about for a long time. Don't get me wrong, still the biggest Raider fan around, still like watch every second of every game, love them to death. It's my team. I bleed silver and black. But this last couple years, and this year in particular, was really disheartening. And so I just want to kind of give my thoughts on that, because it's hard to say this again and again and again, but I feel really excited right now about what we potentially could look like this next season. So let's start recapping last year, the 2025 season. I didn't make a single video the whole time. It just was like, it was so much. It was rough. To start, I was super excited about the prospect of Chip Kelly coming as our offensive coordinator. I'm a big Oregon Ducks fan. I thought he was going to be really good, and about 3 or 4 games in, I realized he needed to go. And I have a history on here of repeating that I don't think that we should be firing coaches often. I think that it is a recipe for why we have been as bad as we have been. But man, something's changed with him since his Oregon days. He could not call a play. He would consistently have just deep routes dialed up, nothing to take advantage of the middle of the field or the short offensive line getting hurt, not being that great. And Geno Smith, which we'll talk about in a second, having him sit back, take 5-7 step drops, and then throw the ball deep to no one. It was just a recipe for disaster. And I think one really interesting thing that made me kind of look at Chip's relationship with Pete Carroll potentially was a play against the Browns, which was ultimately Chip's last game. And I remember watching it thinking like, that, how could this get any worse, right? How could the season go any worse? And one of the biggest frustrations I had all year, which I'll talk about with Pete Carroll, was that we weren't playing any of the young guys on the offensive line. We drafted pretty early, 3rd round, Caleb Rogers and Charles Grant. And they just would not let them play. And Colton Miller went down pretty early with an injury, and Charles Grant needed some time, but we kept Stone Forsythe out there. And I mean this with every ounce of my being. I think Stone Forsythe is the worst offensive lineman I've ever seen in my entire life. He was so bad. And I can't stress it enough. I don't know that a single player, maybe Geno included, this season or maybe any season, caused me as much rage as watching Stone Forsythe. And there was a play where it was just all bad, and everyone knew the writing was on the wall for Chip, where Chip dialed up a play that left Stone Forsythe one-on-one against Myles Garrett. No chipping, no help from a double team, nothing. Just on an island against Myles Garrett. And the ease with which Myles Garrett got to Geno Smith and got past Stone Forsythe, it almost felt like it was put on display for us to see. And I wonder if that was kind of a Chip Kelly showing the world like how bad this decision to keep Stone Forsythe was, because that was right around the time that all the conversation about the why aren't the third rounders playing? You draft third round offensive linemen to start at some point. Why aren't they playing? And so I was glad ultimately when Chip was gone. He needed to be gone. He was awful. Geno Smith, I'm not even going to dignify it very much. The minute he flipped off our fans, he should have never touched the field again. That was something that, sorry, my glasses are like wonking out. That is something that the decision to keep him on the field was just disrespectful to Raider fans, to the Shield, and then his play on top of that, and the way that he would sell out players in the media, throw them under the bus. What was it? It was Dante Thornton early on where he said like he needs to come back for the ball, and would take just no accountability. You know, one thing, I'm notorious for being a Derek Carr fan, right? I know that has really split the nation, especially in his last couple years. And fans were just so tired of hearing him stand up there and say, put it on me, blame it on me, it's my fault. Geno did that once, and it was 100% like facetious. He was totally trying to say like, everyone wants to blame me for everything. You got a flat tire going to work, blame it on me. But Derek meant it. Like, he's the leader of the team. He should be accountable for everything. And so he would take blame for stuff that he had no business taking blame for, whereas Geno did not want to take blame for anything. So I can't express how excited I am that he's gone. And ultimately, Pete Carroll being gone, it needed to happen. And we can't make this mistake again. We can't do this again. We've hired... why did I almost say Cliff Kingsbury? We did not hire Cliff Kingsbury. We hired Clint Kubiak. And it's been a long day, sorry. And he has to be our coach at minimum. If he doesn't win a single game, we cannot fire him for 2+ seasons, 3 seasons. Like, it is, I believe, the biggest reason we don't have Ben Johnson as a coach. The way that we have just been cycling through these guys, no young coach who has any promise. Like, we're so lucky that Cliff Kingsbury again, Clint Kubiak, took this job, because really young coaches who are willing to be patient and wait aren't going to want to go to a team that's going to fire a coach for unrealistic expectations. But Pete is different. Pete refused to play most of the rookies for the majority of the game, which leaves us in a really bad place right now. I'm going to do another video here right after this where I'm going to do a mock draft and talk about what I think the Raiders should do tomorrow. But we have heavily invested. Last year we had we moved around the draft board, we picked up some extra draft picks, and we have heavily invested on positions and players who should have a prominent role on this team. And they did not get to touch the field enough to know, hey, do they have a prominent role? Do they not? And the draft is a little tricky where the idea is you should draft the best player available. But there are exceptions. Like, that is within reason and within bounds. And you need to know what you have at what positions. And right now, it's tough to tell. And it would have been a lot better if, when Colton Miller went down, we put Caleb Rogers, we put Charles Grant in there to play the whole season, or a huge chunk of the season. And that way, if we're sitting in round 2 and one of the tackles has fallen to us, we would know whether or not that was something we needed to do. So I want to talk just quickly about the state of our roster right now. I know it's kind of weird. I've got the computer pulled up in front of me, so if there's like a weird light on my face, that's why. But biggest thing is that was the other thing with Pete. Like, why I'm glad he's gone is like the way that he treated Jackson Powers Johnson was insane. There has to be something more going on, but I'm an Oregon fan, so I'm a huge JPJ fan. But making him move from center to guard to play, Jordan Meredith and Alex Kappa, who Alex Kappa rivals Stone Forsythe for the worst offensive lineman of all time, I think. Just awful. Watching them touch the field made me sick. And so, but when they finally let JPJ on the field, he was dominant. He was so good. And then he got hurt, and I just didn't understand the hesitance to put him on the field, the hesitance to keep him on the field. I just didn't understand it at all because he was so good. That Bears game, he was everywhere. So I was a firm believer that he needed to make a move back to center and be the anchor of this offensive line. And then we went out and signed Tyler Linderbaum. Debatably one of, if not the best centers in all of the NFL, 26 years old. Whew. That is the best move. He was the number one guy I wanted in free agency. So proud of this decision by the Raiders to get that done. So our center room right now looks like Tyler Linderbaum, Will Putnam, Jordan Meredith. Not a Jordan Meredith fan. I really am not. There were a couple games 2 seasons ago that he played towards the end of the season that he looked like he might be okay. And I know he had like a really high PFF grade, but I was just never blown away. So I would not be upset, especially tomorrow when we take Fernando Mendoza, if somewhere in the late rounds we draft a center or an interior offensive lineman to kind of compete there. Because I know a lot of people think heavily on Will Putnam, on Jordan Meredith. I'm not sold on either of those guys being a backup, and we've seen what happens when we don't have options and your offensive line gets hurt. I'll talk more about that in my next video. We look at, I'm going to scroll down, starting from the inside of the O-line to the guard position, okay? Jackson Powers-Johnson will be a starter. He needs to be a starter. We've got Caleb Rogers. I was really impressed with what I saw from Caleb Rogers. I really was. Was it enough? I don't know. But I was really impressed. We brought in Spencer Burford from the 49ers. The Raiders posted a highlight video of him, and it might have been some of the worst tape I've seen. Not excited about him. I might be wrong. I don't know much about him, but I know what they decided to put up on their social media on YouTube to show what he can do was not good. It was not good. I really am not hopeful for him touching the field, but maybe he can kind of help because he played in a Kubiak. Dude, I'm having a hard time today with names. It's been a long day. I'm a teacher, and it's getting to that point of the year. Shanahan system with the 49ers, which is what Kubiak will kind of run. And then it's like a whole bunch of nothing. We've got McClendon Curtis, who's been kind of hanging around our practice squad. Antonio Maffei, who did not look good when he touched the field. Layden Robinson, I don't know who that is. So this is a position where we really might take somebody, and we probably should. Now, how early do we invest in it? I don't know, because it all really depends on Caleb Rogers. Another option is DJ Glaze, who we're going to talk about here when we talk about our tackles. He's been our left tackle or our right tackle for the last couple of years. I think he needs to move inside. His rookie year, he was really solid at right tackle, I felt. Last year, not so great. So does he go in and compete at guard? I think that would not be a bad idea. And that brings us to the tackles. Colton Miller, he was hurt last year. Depending on how he comes back, he's a stud. Charles Grant, a 3rd-round draft pick that I think he played 50 snaps, and they were all at the end of the season. And I remember at one point against the Giants, when we were playing the Giants, watching Charles Grant lock up Brian Burns one-on-one, grab him and lock him down. And just that glimpse of like, whoa, this is what he could be. And I've been watching Stone Forsythe get his ass kicked for 10 weeks when this kid could do stuff like that. So I'm not saying he's the answer. I don't know. But that's what's frustrating, because if we're sitting there in round 2 and Ihanacher from ASU, which is where I went to school, even though I'm a big Ducks fan, he's sitting there like, and what if Charles Grant is the guy? Like, you can't have too many good offensive linemen, and maybe he'll take over for Colton because Colton's 30 now. But like, I don't know. We have so many holes. It's not a luxury that if we have 2 or 3 guys sitting there around the same value and one is at a position where we need a starter right now, that's who we should take. And it would be nice to know if Charles Grant is that guy or not. And Pete really messed that up for us. Okay, quarterbacks. We have Aiden O'Connell, Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza. That quarterback room shouldn't change. I wouldn't mind if we took. Do we still have Miller also? It doesn't. I don't know. I think we cut him, but Cam Miller too. I wouldn't mind another rookie quarterback at the end or undrafted to come in and compete. But yeah, I think Fernando is the guy. He probably won't start right away, and I'm okay with that. Kirk Cousins and AOC will get the job done and teach him, but that's where we're at. So I don't know that we necessarily need to draft one. Wide receivers is a different situation. Let me go to my wide receivers here. When we look at our wide receivers, I do think we have one of the weaker wide receiver rooms in the NFL. Adding Jalen Naylor is nice. I don't know that he's more than a wide receiver 3 or 2. I really am a big Trey Tucker fan. What he is, though, he's not a number 1 kind of a guy. We have a lot of speed, not a ton of size. Jack Besh, I like him. Another situation where it's like, what is he? What's he going to be? We invested heavy in him. He needs to have a chance, but I don't think he's a big-bodied X receiver, which is something that we need. We do have Dante Thornton, 6'5", blazing speed. I thought he was going to just be insane last year, and he was not. He really wasn't. He had a couple good plays. What is the role he has? Because we invested heavy in him. So this is what I'm talking about, where it's like, okay, Max Ihanacher is there, let's say, which he won't be, but let's say he was, and Denzel Boston is there too. Who do we take? The big body X receiver or the tackle, when we might have our tackles all right? We might not need to invest that heavy to have 3 starting offensive tackles, which is never a bad thing. But when you're looking at what you do need, you need the guys to be on the field. And so, I don't know. That's frustrating. I think we do need a wide receiver. Our top 30 visits were mostly like wide receivers. I feel like that was the deepest position class. I think we will draft not just one wide receiver, but multiple wide receivers. And I think we need it because most of the stuff here, like we added Derek Young from Seattle. I don't know much about him, but he's a returner. It says we still have Philip Dorsett, Brendan Rice, Justin Shorter. Like these guys, Shedrick Jackson, I liked him. I don't know. Tight end, I don't think we need to do anything at tight end. We have Carter Runyon as our starter. I'm just kidding. We've got Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, who I think are incredible. And then we've got Albert O. I can't pronounce his last name ever, who got a little bit of playtime at the end of the season. I thought he looked all right for a tight end 3. And we had on our practice squad Carter Runyon, who looks like he can be pretty good. We might trade Michael Mayer. Could be a draft day trade. I don't want to. I love Michael Mayer. I love this combination of tight ends. I don't think we really need to, and I don't really think we need to draft one, unless, like, obviously, if someone falls and they're sitting there in the right spot, you do what you need to do. But I think our tight end room is okay. Oh, and we have Ian Thomas, who I really like. So that's tight end 3. Albert O is, we're going to have a competition for tight end 3 there, and I like that. Running backs. We need to draft at minimum 2 or 3 running backs. I really think so. We've got Ashton Genty. We've got Chris Collier. And Dylan Labe, I like Dylan Labe. I don't think he is an NFL running back. He's a special teamer. I thought he might be all right. He's not been good. He's not got a lot of play time, but there's probably a reason for that. I think we really do need to invest in some running back help, because Ashton can't do it all. He really can't. Like, he can't be expected to do what he did last year, which I think is wildly underrated, what he did last year. All right, let's switch it over to the defensive side. We're going to start kind of the same way, inside and then out. Defensive tackle. This is another thing. In my heart, I think that this is what we probably should be addressing in the second round. We are moving to a base 3-4. I don't know how much that's going to matter, because teams are so fluid in their formations that they run, that if our base is a 3-4, that doesn't mean we're going to spend the majority of our time in a 3-4. But I do think that our defensive tackle room is extremely weak. We have Adam Butler. Adam Butler has been a good football player for us. He is not anything special. He's a good leader. He's not that great. He's had some injuries. He's 32 years old. We traded for Thomas Booker, and there were some times where I thought Thomas Booker looked pretty good. I liked him a lot. Jonah Laulu, a lot of people loved him. I was not impressed when I saw him on the field. We've got like Trevin Mae. Again, I don't even remember seeing him on the field. Broderick Martin, I don't know. We drafted two guys who I was pretty excited about, Tonka Hemingway and JJ Pegues. Tonka got some play time, and he had some pretty big plays. JJ Pegues was the one I was the most excited about, and I think I'm excited about both of them. I wouldn't have expected, because they were such later picks, I wouldn't have expected them to get much more playing time. So I'm not really concerned. It's not that same situation, but we need a big-bodied nose, one technique defensive tackle, and it feels like the conversation around the D tackles in the draft are really pushing them down to our second round pick. There's some other guys later on that could be available that could fit that mold, and who knows, JJ Pegues could be that guy. But like, looking at this right now, you need a big dude, and every D tackle except for JJ Pegues and Broderick Martin are 301 pounds or less. Like, I want those 320, 325, 330 guys to plug up the middle there. Pegues is 325 and Martin is 330. I don't even know anything about Broderick Martin, so I really think that this is a position we need to address. Tyree Wilson also has some position versatility. This is a huge year for him. I'm cool on Tyree. Like, I think he's better than people give him credit for, but it's that same thing like with what Cleve Farrell was. Like, he has not played poorly. Like, there are times where he's played poorly, but he has not played bad. He has not played like a top 10 NFL draft pick, though, and that's kind of the unfair thing that people hold them to. Like, they act like he's horrible. He's not been horrible. He's not been great. He's not taken any sort of eye-opening stats, not got to the quarterback in a crazy ways. But I'm cool on Tyree. I think he needs to have a big year this year. I think maybe this move to a 3-4 will help. He's got some position versatility, but he'll ultimately have his hand in the dirt, be more inside, I think. I'm not even going to talk about the Max thing. Couldn't be happier that Max is back. I love it. Love him. This is a position, though, I do think we probably need to address. We brought in Kwity Paye. I'm excited to see him paired with Max Crosby, but I'm not that hyped about Kwity. I think he'll be good. We've got Malcolm Kuntz. We were able to bring him back. I was really excited about bringing him back, but he's on a 1-year deal. He's 27. Like, I wouldn't mind us drafting in the 4th, 5th round a defensive end. kind of learn from Max, because who knows what is going to happen with him. I know that there's a lot of rumors about him being frustrated last year, and I wouldn't put it past, if we have a bad season or something goes wrong, that he would want out next year, and we need to be able to replace him. And we want depth. We want depth there everywhere. Okay, linebackers. Whew. I would not be upset if we addressed it at some point, depending on what it is, especially with the move to a 3-4. If we're going to have Max back at linebacker, we're going to maybe put Malcolm Kuntz back there. But adding Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker, chef's kiss. Youth, speed, size, like experience, really excited. Size for Quay, not for Nakobe. He's kind of small. And we've got Tommy Eichenberg and Cody Lindenberg, who I'm excited about. Give them some more burn, but wouldn't mind some more competition there for them. And let's see. Corners, we need everything really. But corner, we don't have very many on our roster right now, like a concerning lack of them. We've got Chigozie and Uzium. I don't even know who that is. Taron Johnson we traded for. That's exciting, I suppose. Like, he's a really solid slot corner, nickel. That I'm cool with him. I like that. Darian Porter, glad he got so much playtime last year. There were times where I thought he looked all right, times where I thought he looked poor. Kind of the same with DeCamerion Richardson the year before. I think DeCamerion Richardson could be a really solid piece too, but haven't seen it yet. And then Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes had a better season than I realized, but there were a couple times where I thought he looked really bad. I'm just going to say that. There were a couple times where I was really negative on him. But when I went back and I looked at some of the tape, and I looked at some of the scores, the PFF scores, and the games he actually had a really solid season. Not a lot of interceptions or PBUs to show for it, but I'm glad we brought him back. And then Greedy Vance, same kind of a thing as some of the other guys. Like, I was cool on him in preseason, and then he really didn't do anything at all. Could not be happier that Kyu Blue Kelly is not on this roster. A lot of people loved him because of, he should have picked off Bo Nix 3 times in a game. But man, he was awful. Horrendous. He was always in the limelight because people were always throwing at him because he couldn't cover. So yeah, I think we need to address this corner position a couple times. Again, we've got some promise and maybe some potential ceilings that could be high, but we haven't seen enough to feel comfortable and confident. But the difference is we've seen them play football, unlike a lot of Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers. And then finally, the safety position. This is another thing. I think we need a free safety. I mean, Isaiah Polomau, I just don't see it the way that a lot of people do. He's getting older. And he's not old. He's only 26. But I just have not seen anything that's made me go, yes. I thought Jeremy Chin played really well this year. I'm excited he's back. He's also not young. And then we've got Terrell Edmonds and Tristan McCullum. So I would like to see us address that as well. I guess at the end of the day, sorry about my cat. He's yelling at the door. Punter, kicker, long snapper. No more Daniel Carlson. That makes me really sad. I like Daniel Carlson a lot. We brought in Matt Gay. He's been pretty up or down. I know our special teams coordinator has a history with him. We'll see. AJ Cole's best punter in the NFL. And then we brought in Alex Ward as a long snapper after losing out on Bobenmeyer. I don't know anything about him either, but I wouldn't mind us drafting a kicker, bringing one in later on for competition with Matt Gay, and just letting whoever wins that be the guy. I wanted Daniel back. I thought Daniel Carlson, he was a little shaky here and there, but I felt like he really pulled it off in the end and helped us out. So draft is tomorrow. I'm going to make a video again here, but you won't see my face of me doing a mock draft. And I'll get on here and talk about my reactions. We know Fernando Mendoza will be our quarterback tomorrow, and that's really exciting. Yeah. Let me know what you think. I know this was kind of me rambling about where our roster's at and how this last season pissed me off. And I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but yeah, these are just kind of some of my thoughts. Let me know what you think. If you agree, go ahead and leave a comment, agree with it. If you disagree with it. If you haven't already, subscribe. And as always, just win, baby.